Good afternoon. Welcome to this session, Best of Synergy. My name is Jenny Kloezeman and I'm a Senior Business Consultant of Exact. Before we start this session, I would ask you, can you imagine where the number 28 stands for? Well, the 28 stands for 28% of time is spent reading and answering emails. Why I'm telling you this will be clear soon, but first we have a look at the agenda. In the coming 40 minutes, I will tell you something about the daily practice. I will give you some examples and I will show you something about wouldn't it be great. Of course, I will give you a demonstration and I will come back to the advantages working another way. After this session, Sander, Product Manager of Exact, and I will answer your questions. Well, what do we actually want as an organization? In my opinion, I think we want this anytime, anywhere inside of our organization and in control of our results. Do you think that as well? Now coming back to the number 28, McKinsey did some productivity research about how people spend their work week. And if you look at the slide, you will see that 28% of time is spent on reading and answering email. 90% is spent on searching and gathering information. And 14% is spent on communicating and collaborating internally. That means that only 39% can be spent on their role-specific tasks. Would you imagine what it means if you could increase those value at a time? Because a lot of reading and answering emails is also internally spent. Now, if we look at the next slide, then I will show you some common process. It's about internal communication and collaboration and how it can work, and it is here about sales following up. Even in the simplified form, we are already looking at 4 departments working together on closing a deal. This means that for every step, information is being exchanged, from sales to F&A, customer details, expected deal size, etc. So F&A can assess the prospect from financial perspective. From F&A back towards sales, whether it is safe to go into business and under what term and conditions. From sales to the other administration, what was sold, to whom, against what price, and which conditions. From other administration to delivery, what needs to be shipped or done, and from delivery to F&A to ensure invoicing is done according to what was shipped or delivered. And with each transfer of information, there's a potential bottleneck. During month-end close, F&A may be busy, unable to perform the credit check, and the sales process stalls. Or when they do have time, they miss essential information and need to go back to sales for the missing pieces. It is not just likely, but certainly that work could be piling up at every stage, and every handover leads to internal communication which could be eliminated. So now look at some other more simple processes. Maybe it's not the most positive process in the world, but maybe everybody knows how to deal with a complaint. A customer is very angry, and when he calls, he comes to a colleague which not often know what to do with that complaint. So he writes down the customer and the name, maybe what it is about, and then another colleague needs to call the customer back. But that colleague is maybe missing some information, a customer name, maybe more explanation about it, so he needs to go back. And what we see in a lot of organizations, that the complaint is not registered very well and actually disappeared in a kind of black box. Nobody knows that the customer has a complaint, and maybe nobody knows if it's followed up already. I do not know if you recognize this, but we see at a lot of companies that this happens. And it's not a real efficient way to deal with a complaint. Now let's look at another example. Maybe you all know that you want to request leave. Mostly you think about it in the evening when you're with your wife on the couch and think, man, should we go on a holiday? In that evening you maybe not know what days you have on your balance. Next to that, you want to request leave to your manager, and your manager maybe do not know if you have balance, so he needs to go to HR. HR goes back to the manager and needs to go back to you. So a lot of time is spent on searching for information. And if the manager does approve the request of leave, then we see a lot of times that in all kind of systems we need to register that. Is that an efficient way of doing this? I do not think so. So, wouldn't it be great if you could benefit from all the information in your people minds? Because a lot of information is known there. Wouldn't it be great if you offer your customer a unified experience, so that they have a single point of contact? Wouldn't it be great if you can optimize your process so that all information is there in the right steps, so that you don't have to search for that, and that you spend your time doing rather than searching, and that because of that you have full insight and control over every aspect of your business. And that you are able to push with one push of the button, knowing where you stand. That you know what opportunities are there and what your expected revenue is per account manager, or maybe in time. Or that with one push of the button you know what complaints are there and which one are picked up and which one are not picked up, and what the complaints are all about. That you know with one push of the button you know exactly where you stand from HR perspective. I will show you now how that can work with Exact Synergy. So I'm opening my Synergy right now, and I'm there, and I start with my start page. In my start page is, in this case, Best of Synergy. From the start page I can go to the account card, to the employee file, to the complaint I just mentioned, but also to the request of leave. Of course you are able to create more home pages. For now I go to the account card from the start page. So when I go to the account card here, I can find all information about this customer Brasserie Pigalle. This is the first thing we do when we work with Synergy. From the account card we can find all information. Just the general information, but also the marketing information and the financial information. But most important from the account card is the monitor. In the monitor we can find everything we want. All documents, all opportunities, all quotations, but also all workflows which are opened. Well, if I go to the home page right now, there I have the complaint of this customer. When a customer calls with a complaint, we do not write it down now anymore. We do not email it. We just create a complaint. And a complaint has multiple steps, for example. So first, one is register the complaint. In this complaint, you will link the account, you will link the contact, and you give a description of the complaint. In the next step, I said someone needs to validate the complaint. So the complaint is registered and goes automatically, for example, to the Department of Customer Service. And they are going to check the complaint, and then someone can follow it up. Within this complaint, you can also fill out more information. Think about, what is the complaint about? When do we need to follow it up? What's the priority of the complaint? And next to that, we can add some related information. For example, is it about a project you run, or about an opportunity, or a kind of document? And for example, if it's a complaint about the delivery, you can add here the delivery note. Now, if we go back to the start page, we also have the example of the employee file. We go to the employee, and at the employee, we find all information we want. And personal information, where she's to be reached in the organization, and also the employee has her own monitor. At this monitor, we will find all information we want. We want to look at her file, with all documents. We can look at her schedule, at her planning, but also at her requests for leave. Well, I added the request leave in the start page, so I opened the request for leave for Wendy. Also, in this case, we started a workflow. So Wendy can request the leave for herself. Then the request for leave goes automatically to her manager for approval. Wendy fills out in this request the start date, start time, the end date, the end time, and based on the schedule, automatically the days or hours will be calculated. If we then look at her planning, you will see that the request planned days for 10 are available. If Niels now approves these days, they will go to actuary and will go off from her year-end balance. So, and this is not everything, because we can work in synergy, but most of the time, a lot of time, people are on the road. Think about an account manager, which is not always in the office. And if I'm on my couch with my wife and want to plan a holiday, I'm also not on my laptop. So we did create some apps, and we make it easier. With the app, you can find all information about the customer, the opportunities, and all kinds of information you need. And we do also have an employee self-service app, and from there I can request my leave, time off. So if we have looked back to what I mentioned before, so how a process nowadays a lot of organizations have, or what we can, or how we can work, then we say, for example, for the complaint, that instead of mailing and writing in a note, we can work with a workflow complaint, which someone registers, and then it can be quickly and accurately picked up by customer service. In this complaint, all information is mentioned and filled out, so everyone is well aware of this customer complaint. At the customer, this complaint is also visible, and so we can take care of that. Working together would be easy, and you can also offer better service. And we all know that a well-handled complaint offers opportunities. If we now look, for example, at the request of leave, instead of asking to the manager, mailing to the manager, taking care of in Excel, we can make a request for that. So what we do is the employee creates the request of leave, fills in all data. Employee is also overview of his leave balance, and so he can check it, so he doesn't need to ask it anymore to his manager. The leave request goes automatically to the manager, and he has control and insight, so he knows that what leave balance is there and if he can approve or not. If he approves the request, the days are automatically deducted, so an HR manager doesn't need to do anything anymore. And it's an efficient and transparent process. Of course, these are simple examples. Look at now, for example, at an internal project, something with what is, for example, more difficult. Would you imagine that you create a day like this, an event, an Exact Globe Virtual Customer Conference? If you look at organizing an event, you need to have a project manager, which is organizing everything. You need to have a planning of this event. Next to that, you need to have project manager members, people who do the presentations or are helping with the sessions. You want to invite customers for an event like this. And the invitation should be mailed. And we have to deal with all kinds of documents. And documents like the invitation, but also documents like the presentations. You do need to do a lot of activities. And for example, you need to do some sessions with the project manager so that everybody knows what to expect from this day. And that's not all. If you want to do this, you also want sales to follow up and call the customers if they come to this event, and if they were present at this event, you want them to follow these up. And eventually you want to know what the results are of this project. In practice, we see a lot of these things done in Excel, Word, all kinds of systems, mail, Outlook, and I think this could be easier. So if we go back to my start page of Synergy again, I will demonstrate you how we can do that different. What we do is we create a project, and this project is mentioned, for example, the Exact Globe Virtual Customer Conference. In this project, we have a general section, and in this general section, you will mention the project manager, the start date and the end date, and if it's an active project or not. We can also add some members, like the presenters, or maybe the sales who needs to follow up this project. And of course, this project also has a monitor where we can find all information. Information like the activities we do. And those are, for example, the workflows as I showed before in this session. But also the opportunities we create because of this project. Of course, we need to invite some customers. We make a selection of our customers and we can add them this project so that you know who got an invitation of this event. Next to that, we can see here all documents. For example, the invitation, but also the presentations. So, for this day, every information we need is found here and can be combined. Of course, we also want to measure the results. We can create an opportunity for every customer that is invited for this event. And if you do that, and if you are able to do that, we can also measure the results because the opportunities are linked to this project. And now we can see what opportunities are there, which are in a lead phase or prospect phase or even a quotation phase. And you will practically see what the result is of a project like this. And if I can summarize this, instead of doing everything in all kinds of systems, we create an internal project where you can find all information so that everybody can collaborate efficiently on those projects. All project files are available but also complete, so nothing is missing. And also the processes are linked to the project so that you have insight in the results. And not only that, you can also zoom to the results in every detailed way. And if we then have a look at how people can spend their work week, instead of doing all these and searching everything, we will do it efficiently via a digital workflow or working via a project. And we can increase the value at a time. And not only that, we are in control. We have one central point where everything can be found, all information about our customers, our employees, or events. We can act as a single point of contact for our customers because everybody can see if there is a complaint or an opportunity or whatever. And therefore we can be more effective and efficient, and we work in a uniform way and are also transparent. And we do not only measure the overall result, but we can also zoom into the details. So if we look at the slide I showed you in the beginning, I think we can give you anytime, anywhere inside of your organization, and that you are in control of your results. If there are any questions, you can ask them via the session and we will answer them. Thank you for your attention.